Alchemist Astrologer, and this is your June forecast for Gemini Sun, Gemini Rising, and Gemini Moon. So you are represented by the Knight of Cups and the King of Cups. So you may have strong water energy in your chart, or perhaps you're dealing with a water sign. This could be Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Rising, male or female, or just the traits of water are important. For some of you, this could be a father-son issue. But otherwise, you are feeling very emotional, very sensitive perhaps toward your partner. This Knight of Cups is focused on some type of proposal, offer, invitation, agreement. So you may be putting something out there, extending yourself in some way. It could be a social activity, some form of amusement or entertainment or a new relationship. Whatever it is, you're feeling a lot about it. Maybe you feel very empathic, very intuitive, and you have a connection to your partner without them even saying anything. You know how they feel, you know how they think, and perhaps you're falling quickly in love with this person, and maybe you weren't anticipating that. You weren't expecting how deeply you feel. And you do have very deep feelings right now, intense desires. Perhaps you want to improve the relationship between you and your partner, or you want to impress someone that you're interested in, or you want to defend yourself or what you feel is yours. You may feel very territorial, very possessive in some cases. So you have strong desires and you are going after something. This is the king, and the knight is on his mission. So again, you're falling in love with somebody, you have strong desire, there's something that you want. You may realize in certain cases that you've been operating solo for a little bit too long. You want to reconnect or have greater intimacy or depth in your relationship. And it's likely that the attraction is mutual between you and your partner. Now, in the shadow, this is a king who can be emotionally moody, unreliable, sometimes unfaithful. He can fall prey to perhaps some kind of obsession or compulsion and addiction. So there could be drugs or alcohol or escapist tendencies, not accepting responsibility for his actions, not being emotionally mature enough to have an intimate relationship. And if that's the case, then you're going to feel that, your relationship is too complicated, too complex. You're not getting what you want out of it. Part of the issue could be that somebody's misleading. They're vague. They're playing their cards close to their chest. They're not putting everything out in the open. So either you or your partner are not being completely honest with one another. And it may have to do with some kind of change, the end of something, the end of waiting in vain, releasing a broken heart. Perhaps there's a change now. You've changed how you feel, or you're trying to improve something. You're letting something go. Maybe you were waiting in vain for something and you had a broken heart about it, and now you're releasing that, or your partner did. So this is about, letting go of some issue that connected to a loss, separation, betrayal, disappointment of some sort. There's a change taking place. Now, your partner is represented by the 5 of Coins and the 10 of Swords. So, maybe your partner is just sick of feeling like a victim, or sick of being victimized, or maybe your partner has some kind of serious illness. There's a feeling of lack, a lack of faith. Perhaps your partner has a lack of faith in this relationship. Maybe there's some issue of rejection due to betrayal. Somebody feels like they've been stabbed in the back. So this may be just a perception. It may be true. But your partner may feel as if they are pinned to a situation, that there's no way out of a circumstance. And maybe that's because nothing's moving forward the way they want, or they feel overwhelmed by the onslaught of something that has occurred. So there's a lack of faith. Maybe somebody's totally focused on the material. They've, turned away their spiritual values. Or you're involved in a relationship and maybe there's some element that is clandestine to it. Maybe this is something extramarital or some secret relationship. But there is an element of liability to it. It may be good as far as romance, but it costs you in some way, financially, emotionally. So this could be, that fatal attraction or perilous passion. And you're trying to create some harmony. Maybe this is with, connected to a friendship or creating harmony with your partner when they're feeling down and out. It could be that a couple of things have not played out the way your partner has hoped in this relationship, and they feel left out in the cold, rejected, abandoned. Or on the other hand, maybe this is about, your partner's tired of feeling down and out, and it's time to pick things up, dust yourself off, try to improve the relationship to move forward. And really, when you look at it, maybe it didn't cost as much time, energy, or as emotion as you perhaps once thought. But there's some type of harmony, inner peace that your partner wants to satisfy. Maybe that's about a gift of some sort. It could be getting some kind of recognition. Perhaps it's about trying to figure out if you're compatible, if you're the one. Maybe your partner's trying to figure out if you're the ideal partner, what they had envisioned, or vice versa. So this is like marriage material, or a relationship worth waiting for, or worth, going the distance in. Now, the relationship is characterized by this High Priestess and the Two of Swords. There's some kind of dilemma. You're trying to make a decision, or your partner is. Now, it may tie to a friendship. Maybe this is something that is platonic and you want it to go deeper. It could be an issue connected to your children. Maybe this is your daughter, or maybe this is you getting some advice, some counseling because of your circumstances. Because the High Priestess can have some inner information inside the loop, some things that perhaps you don't know. There could be a secretive element, something, again, clandestine, something going on behind the scenes. Or you may just be dealing with people who can help you work through something emotional or psychological. Whatever it is, you're having to tap into your own intuition, and it's important that you look at something objectively and try not to be overly emotional about it so that you can see it clearly for what it is. You're having to reevaluate a situation, whether that was a promise between you and another person, some goal or an objective, or a belief that you once held. You're having to look at that to determine whether it's still true, because there's an opportunity arriving for either you, your partner, or both of you. And it appears to be golden, and yet there may be something, some string attached to it that you need to look at. So there's a dilemma, decision that needs to be made, and you may feel some kind of inner conflict. Perhaps you're at odds with another person. Maybe you have instigated some kind of dispute or misunderstanding, or maybe you're trying to mediate that. Maybe this High Priestess is serving as some kind of mediator or arbitrator. But there's a dilemma, and you're trying to figure out what to do next. And you may be waiting to see how the tide turns. Maybe you've made a decision and you're not sure what the outcome will be, or you don't have enough information, or you're repressing your emotions. So there's a decision to be made, and you're likely at a stalemate. Perhaps it ties to some form of adventure. Whatever that means, travel, expanding the way you think about something, new perceptions, pushing boundaries. Maybe, one of you has fallen off into a rabbit hole. Maybe you need to reconnect. There's some opportunity where you can open the door, but the catch is you have to take the initiative to do that. Now, the problem is again, some new direction. Maybe this is concerning a child, maybe it's travel, an opportunity. There's something that could be upsetting, something that you weren't prepared for that has impacted your career or your domestic situation. It's a novel experience, but you are not yet capable of integrating it into your consciousness. So you're going in a new direction, and you're going to have to be careful that you use common sense, that you're practical, because perhaps there's been some naivete or some gullibility or some reckless behavior. You were operating on faith, not realizing that you were standing on the edge of a cliff. So this is moving in a new direction, but cautiously so. This is a time to, do something new, do something in a different way. But there are also issues here of commitment. Maybe somebody is not serious. They just want to have fun, or they're just exploring. They're not really committed. So either you or your partner are trying to figure out what the intention is of the other person. And you have this Tower card. So there's pressure perhaps to make a decision. And maybe, something upsetting has occurred, an argument, a confrontation, some kind of shocking revelation. Or again, you could be dealing with some kind of serious illness or accident, and you're now having to, focus on the ramifications of something. So something could have happened surprising, shocking, upsetting, unsettling that you're now dealing with. Maybe you're getting a divorce. Maybe you're separating. Maybe you're having to move. Maybe you're dealing with property issues. Something is causing you to have to reorganize your life, some aspect of it that was built on a faulty foundation or a faulty belief system. So something is shattering. Something is coming tumbling down. And it may be, it allows you greater freedom. It could have been an area of your life where you were stagnating, although you may not have been aware of it. Maybe you felt like you were in bondage, and suddenly you're free. And maybe you don't know how to deal with that. So there's the boldness of something. Somebody is putting something out there. And perhaps, they're telling it like it is. Somebody's issuing some shocking statements, either you or your partner. You're having to rebuild an aspect of your life and maybe tread lightly in some circumstances. And it has to do with being fair. Now, again, maybe you're dealing with legal situations, legal decisions, especially if this is a divorce or a separation, or you're looking at assets. But it could just be trying to restore a better balance, whether that's restoring health when one of you is ill, taking on, the responsibilities, trying to figure out what's fair, or trying to choose, in some cases, between two options, perhaps two partners. So you're weighing the scales. You're trying to put something in order. There's been some kind of change that's shocking or unsettling, and you're trying to right the balance. So there's a strong focus on justice, what's fair, and that's a problematic area. Now, the underlying energy is this Knight of Pentacles. For some of you, there's a current that runs through it that ties to perhaps security. Maybe there's a connection to an earth sign person, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, male or female, or just the traits of this Knight. This is a Knight who works hard. He puts in long hours, and maybe there's a tendency to work till exhaustion in order to gain some kind of success or some kind of opportunity. And maybe you need to, find better balance between your personal life, your work life. Maybe it's impacting your relationship. There could also be issues surrounding income. Now, this is a good omen for some unexpected income, or having what you need, putting in the hard effort, but also getting a return on it. So you may be investing in the relationship. Maybe it's moving slowly. This is the slowest Knight in the deck. He's taking his time. So for some of you, maybe that's the issue. Maybe you feel like something is moving along too slowly. This is about a no-frills approach, somebody who is dependable, who is steady, and there could be issues in your relationship that center around devotion, loyalty. How committed are you? This card can show up when there's a secret love affair. And again, issues of loyalty, fidelity, steadfastness. So this is a Knight who believes what he believes. He sees the world in black and white. He's not prone to arguing it any other way. So he may be emotionally unresponsive. So one of you may have strong desires. You want to show your feeling, and the other person, maybe there's a lack of faith in what's going on. There's a need to make some important decisions. You're undergoing some kind of re-evaluation. So this is the Knight of Pentacles, again, who may be involved in a secret love affair, or maybe you are making the decision to, you're tired of being alone. You want to get out there, you want to mingle with others, you want to meet people, and there could be some opportunities on the horizon that open doors for you socially, financially, and romantically. Because this says you're not interested in pursuing relationships with people who cannot be counted on, or your partner is feeling that way. So you're going to have patience right now. There are a lot of things to be worked out, some details, and you're going to have to figure out some things that pertain to your economic status, your emotional status, your physical status. You're having to look at your value system. And it's either going to be what you believe is going to be tested and challenged in some way, or rewarded. So you're having to look at where you're either doing too much or doing too little, where those scales of balance are off, putting in too much time or too little time, too much money, too little money, too much effort, not enough effort. So you're looking at those scales and again having to make a decision. But perhaps there's something fortunate about it, because there's some fortuitous stroke of luck involved in all of this. Perhaps something unexpected, a surprise, an opportunity, an opening. Now, your advice is, I need to dig deeper to uncover the root of my unhappiness. So, with the High Priestess, again, there's something that's not being revealed. People are not being completely honest. You're not sharing everything with your partner, or vice versa. And so this is really going deep within to find answers. And it could be that, somebody's being overly analytical, or somebody's being intolerant of the other person's viewpoint. Somebody may be trying to change the rules of the game so it better suits them. But there's some issue that may be a form of projection. The High Priestess can be an idealized version of a lover. And that can be disappointing if a person doesn't live up to those perceptions. So you're having to look at the real root, the real cause of your unhappiness. Now, the outcome is the Page of Swords. So this could very well be you or other air energy, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, male or female, or just the traits of this page. You may be dealing with someone who is younger, or maybe someone who is immature in some way. They're affecting your life in a negative fashion because of their immaturity or their thoughtlessness. But on the positive, maybe you're just trying to figure something out. Now, you could be prying into your partner's affairs or vice versa. You're trying to find some answers. And once again, maybe you're trying to mediate something and do it objectively, which you'll be capable of doing as long as it doesn't impact you personally. Once it hits home, you won't be able to be as rational about a situation. So you're trying to figure out something, and you may realize that you or your partner, you make good decisions, you're intelligent, but maybe you don't make the best romantic decisions. Maybe romance is not your forte. And important conversations, again, something is being withheld. Some things need to be said. And what you say to one another is very critical in where you end up in this relationship. In certain cases, perhaps you're able to cut through the confusion of a situation and gain some clarity, come to some consensus, have a meeting of the minds, agree to disagree if necessary. And you may be able to do that by being lighthearted, having a sense of humor, being quirky to break the ice. In other cases, there's some sharp words, some sarcasm, some negativity, and you may be looking at your partner or vice versa And perhaps you're deciding that this really isn't going the way that I would like. I'm noticing some things about you that perhaps I just really don't want to deal with anymore. So there's some confusion. Now you're trying to figure out what's going on. Maybe it's because one of you has a lot of options, or together you have a lot of choices, a lot of things that you have to decide. This is about using your time wisely and prioritizing. So for some of you, you may be trying to figure out if your partner is depressed or overwhelmed. You may be trying to figure out if your partner is under some kind of, dealing with some kind of substance abuse, drugs or alcohol. For some of you, there's not a lot of movement because there's just a lot of fantasy. You're daydreaming. There's some wishful thinking. And you need to be more realistic about this relationship or this partner. You actually need to put yourself out there and say something. But this is, again, about prioritizing, especially if you are overwhelmed with work and trying to balance responsibility, trying to write those scales. You're having to look at what is most important to you and deal with that accordingly. And that will give you time to spend doing what you enjoy. This is also saying that for some of you, there may be an issue. Something is double booked. You've over or underestimated a person or a situation, and maybe you've gotten yourself in a little bit over your head. Now, this may be that you're involved with two people and somehow they end up in the same place, or you're stretched too thinly. So, this is being a day late and a dollar short. And your partner may feel like, yeah, you're showing me all of this emotion, but it's a little bit too late now. You should have shown up like way back when. So there's some wisdom acquired about marriage or commitment or an undertaking of some sort. Your level of intention. So you're trying to gain some wisdom, gain some clarity. Your conversation is going to be key in dispelling the confusion surrounding your circumstances. Now, you have three major cards: the High Priestess, the Fool, and the Tower. So you may be making some unexpected or shocking decisions. They may tie to lifestyle changes, divorce, separation, property, illness, simply moving in a new direction. You may suddenly get some new insights about how to deal with a situation. One of the keys to getting past any challenge or obstacle is to really use your intuition, and perhaps get some advice if necessary. And, avoid being intolerant of your partner's viewpoint or the other side of a situation. Try to look at something from all vantage points. You also have the Fool card, which says that you need to use your common sense to not get carried away and be overconfident about a situation. And you also need to do some reorganization. There's something that you may be holding on to and telling yourself that you need this, when in fact it's holding you back, and you're going to have to let go of it. And it's better if you make the decision rather than Providence stepping in and making it for you, because hesitation is going to undermine your efforts. This is about getting on the train and going with the program as soon as possible. Now, you do have two knights, and there's some indication that perhaps you're involved in a legal or court case. Maybe somebody's seeking protection of some sort. Maybe you're dealing with a rivalry. Maybe you're simply on conflicting missions. Either you're conflicted within yourself or you're at opposite poles with your partner. And it also may center around the delegation of responsibility, making sure things are fair. Maybe somebody's mentoring or directing, or maybe in some cases you're meeting with some kind of revolt or challenge with your partner, or there's some kind of strong attraction. So this is about sharing, healing, shared prosperity, sharing information. In some cases, maybe even gossip. You're having to look at what is valid information, and you're weighing your options about other opportunities, juggling responsibilities, juggling two partners, your finances, perhaps travel. And you may feel like you're on a bit of an emotional seesaw where, you're having to keep those balls in the air. And there's some frustration about that. Either, you're seeking some kind of legal settlement, or there's some third-party interference, maybe a love triangle, or somebody is very pointed in their speech, some hurtful words. So you may be getting a bit of bad news that you were expecting. And because you were expecting it, it's a lot easier for you to come up with plan B and move forward. But if you were caught by surprise, caught off guard, and you are emotionally invested in a particular outcome, you may have difficulty dealing with present circumstances. There's no fire aside from the major cards in this reading. So whatever this is, either you or your partner, there's some apathy, a lack of movement, a lack of desire or passion. So there's not impetus really to get things moving. Whatever it is, it has the possibility to impact you in a way where there's a lasting gain or a lasting loss. And this, whatever it is a cyclic issue, some dilemma, a decision that you're having to make. Now that King of Cups is very concerned with this High Priestess and the Two of Swords. So the dilemma rests with something that has to do with a decision or a reevaluation, possibly connected to female energy, because the High Priestess means that likely your relationship is undergoing some kind of change, particularly with those with women. And it also has to do with some kind of delay. Remember, the Knight of Pentacles moves extremely slowly. He's taking his time, and maybe he's taking too long. He's sluggish. And so there's some delays, but there's a decision, though, to be made that should not be rushed. Now, this is going to be an emotionally challenging month for you that ties to your ambitions. And it may center around your sense of security, your sense of belonging, trying to establish something that provides a foundation for you, something that's lasting, and something where you're willing to assert yourself, to find out where you stand. And it also has to do with changing your perspective, getting what you want, but perhaps in another form and in another fashion. But first, you're going to have to tie up some loose ends. And it also has to do with your partnerships, how you are dealing with the person in your life that's important to you, and how you are allowing yourself to be handled as well. Is it constructive or destructive? All right, Gemini, I hope you enjoyed this reading. Don't forget to subscribe and please hit that notify bell button. Let's make some positive change in your relationship. Let's create a love revolution.